to Casually Dressed and Deep in Conversation with me, Greg Chalmers. CDDC is sponsored by Pizza Daddy, Lanarkshire's #1 American-style pizza parlour. To stay up to date on new flavours and promotions, then get connected on the socials. The Instagram handle is @RealPizzaDaddy and the website is www.thepizzadaddy.co.uk. To see what we're getting up to here at Casually Dressed, then you can find us on Instagram with the handle @CDDC Podcast, and on Twitter it is @PodcastCDDC. Also, as you're watching this on YouTube, then please hit those like and subscribe buttons. And with me today of my co-host, it's Chris Shields.
Hello.
Our guest today, our Scottish comedy trio. Weegie, Hink of that. How you doing, boys?
Hey. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. How are yous?
Aye, not bad. Just aye, enjoying the lockdown.
How are you getting on with the lockdown now?
Could be better.
Could be.
It's far,
slowly losing my mind. Try to keep active in some way.
It's the best lockdown we've ever had, but so.
My arse is killing me. I've started riding a bike, and I tell you, I respect cyclists now because my arse is pounding.
It's no easy, mate. I bought a bike and then 3 weeks in crashed into a hedge and I've not touched it since.
Aye, probably best.
Oh no, I've been doing all sorts, man. I've been flying helicopters. I've been taking buggies. Been to the gulag a couple of times. Call of Duty's been good to me.
Gregor, did you get out much before lockdown? It doesn't look like it.
No, I had visits now and again.
So guys, for anyone who doesn't know about Weegie, Hink of that, how did it get started? Who instigated this? We know that.
Elliot, do you want to take this?
Well, we all met in university. We all studied at Edinburgh Mob, and we had this class called Creative Industries, and basically it was just you had to form a group and come up with a production company so you could then work on a project to take to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. And so far, like all the other like groups were wanting to do like kind of like prestige like theatre and all that, and do like actual plays. And then like if anyone's been at the Fringe, you know the highlight. Well, for me, the highlight is to go and see like either music acts or comedy. Mm-hmm. So we thought, right, well, why don't we try and like just do comedy? But we didn't want to do like stand up or anything like that. I don't think I've got the bottle to do that. But, and we thought, well, there's no point in doing a play either, because a play can sometimes be hard to sell, especially if you're not like a kind of well-established company. So we thought, right, well, what about sketch comedy? I don't know who it was that brought that up. I think it might have been me that brought up the sketch comedy idea, but that's only because I was watching Tune the Fat the day before. And I just thought, do you know what, why not? And so that became like a kind of basis for it. And I don't know whose idea it was to start with bringing music into it, but thank God for that. And then I think it might have been Gregor or that. I'm not sure that came up with the name. It's just like it was so last minute when we came up with it, because when we were in class we just left everything to the last minute because we were too busy dicking about up the back of the class.
I think that's actually how it, like, kind of in my vision of it, that's how it happened. My memory of it, it was kind of like we all had this. We're all, like, obviously we're in Edinburgh, right? We're all Weegies. We're all from Glasgow, so we kind of bonded over the fact that we had this similar sense of humour. Yeah. And I think it kind of started from just joking about in class. Like we all kind of gathered that we're all kind of funny, but we didn't actually know that we'd ever consider that as a thing. Mm-hmm. I also don't think a lot of people wanted to work with us, if I'm honest. I think that's like part of the reason that we found each other. But the music thing came in it because I knew Elliot could play guitar because he wouldn't shut up about it. I'm so, no, you're good.
You that guy at parties, were you?
Anyway, here's Wonderwall.
But no, he was a really good guitarist, and the guy who's no longer with us, I said that like he's died. He's not.
I know. Like, shit. Fucking. So yeah, that is a question. I was like,
you know, he was a great musician, and I can play a bit of keyboard, and then you've got Connor. He doesn't play.
He's happy to be here.
He's like the Ian Brown of the group, but you're the one that's struggling a bit.
I didn't have a choice of being in the group. I was off. I was getting an operation on my leg, and I got a message being like, "Oh, by the way, you're in the group." And I was like, "All right, what are we doing?" And they told us, and they're like, "We think of that." I was like, "Wait, what the heck? What were we talking about?" I didn't have a choice. They were burdened with me for the start.
Aye. But that was. I think that's pretty much it, isn't it? I don't really know.
Aye. So in the uni class, the lecturers sort of frowned upon the sketch comedy sort of thing because it'd never been done for their uni before. They were all like, "Let's get a play done. Let's take it serious." So we'd went a year before, so we were supposed to do the Fringe the next year. So we went, "Why not? Let's just get a bash this year." And we done it that year after aim backs, and it went well. And we went to them, and we were like, "Look, this done pretty decent." And they sort of didn't really have a choice. We were like, "We're going to do this if he's let us do it or no." So we just sort of took it into our own hands, really.
How did the Edinburgh Mob take a predominantly Glaswegian act?
So yeah, I think it was. I mean, say Edinburgh Mob, but our venue was right next to the Waverley station,
right.
So we'd managed somehow to clock all the Glasgow guys coming off. So it was like every 15 minutes, it's like, "Right, guys, jump down outside Waverley, get those flyers handed out." And it was a free show at the time because obviously we didn't think we'd make any money off it.
Yeah.
So we went down, and I just managed to get a lot of people that, surprisingly enough, were interested in it. So I think
too many
venue,
people.
Too many. The venue was it wasn't a stage or anything. It was a room.
Mm-hmm.
It was a room inside like an old office building, and you didn't have anyone doing the doors for you. You were doing it all yourself, and we had like complaints made because there was just so many people coming in. It was like I think it was like a 40-seater or something like that.
30 or something. Aye, yeah.
And we had like 70 folks showing up at the time, and at the time that was huge.
Of course,
we've never done this before.
But for health and safety reasons, there was risk assessments carried out.
That's it. We'll just sign that bit there. Aye.
Aye. The days before COVID,
mate,
and you could get away with like 4 people on the one chair.
when you coughed in a room and did they cause everyone to run out there?
Or you're just out and you get a tickle in your throat and you're like, "I need to cough. I can't cough," but you're like, try to do it in your shirt. It's the worst, man.
Actually, do you know, talking about COVID, Connor, I watched the video of you doing the PT thing. Mate,
do we junkie with a spoon?
No, the one with the guy going, but the eggs and all that, like, it's on the Instagram, but it's like a guy doing PT classes and he's like, "Fucking get your protein in and all that." Mate, I swear to God, see when I watched that, about 5 minutes before it, I had watched an actual video of somebody doing that, like, "Oh, I've put a competition out there and you can get a free session with us and all that," and then I went and watched Jules and I was like, "Fucking."
Like, tag 40 pals and you can win a half-minute session and me and I'll get you ripped.
Mate, it's ridiculous, isn't it? It's ridiculous. You've got to get the squats in.
Eggs in for the protein and that.
Got to watch how you word that. Right, so I suppose you've kind of told us how you get started, but how does the creative process work? Does it start with you just come across something or hear something in the street and go, "That'd be quite funny"?
Just instantly, Greg will shake his head as if, "Oh fuck."
Like, see, to be honest, mate, like, see, for the most part, I've got quite like I'm like an overactive thinker, so I've kind of got like some I'll just be walking. Like I've had times before where I've just been walking and I could be doing anything right, and I'll just have this like image in my head of something, and I'll be like, oh, imagine if a guy just like smashed a tea cake in his face. And it's just kind of like that's just kind of where a lot of it stems from, and bringing it one step further is taking that like small image or whatever and coming to them and being like, yeah, what do you think about this guy smash a tea cake in his face? how do we make that funny? And I think that's kind of where, for me anyway, I think everyone's got to
Usually for me, I get an idea in my head and I can't write. Like, I'm dyslexic, so my spelling is terrible. So I'll write it out and I'll send it to Greg, and they'll be like, what the fuck are you talking about, mate? So I have to phone him.
Just send it in emojis, I'll understand it better.
And I'll phone him and I'll explain it to him, and he's like, right, I'll write that for you. So he usually sorts me out with that.
I mean, the funny thing is as well, like even for like the first show we ever did, called Where You Fae, like Gregor wrote like the vast majority of that, and I remember like, it was just certain like sketches that he would write, like they were really good, but half the time, like an example would be, see the actor one, Gregor. Gregor wrote that, and he came up with the idea of that, and then he gave it to Connor. Connor just kept blurting out nonsense about it, and then that just kind of stuck with it. So it's just, I don't know, it's fucking mental, the whole process of like trying to write stuff. We just chuck in different.
Just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what works.
Seeing what sticks.
Aye.
So I suppose there is some form of creative process there.
It's a lot of fun. Do you know what I mean?
Of course. So who would you say your influences were then?
Still game, 100%. Kind of grew up on a diet of Scottish comedy, so it was Still Game, Chewing the Fat. Then late, like as I got a bit older, Limmy Show, Burniston, and I think, and I don't mind saying it, but you take a lot of inspiration from that stuff in particular.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that when I kind of got into writing, if I'll even call it that, that's kind of where that came from. It's like the patter you grew up on. Like everybody remembers catchphrases. I think that's a Scottish thing.
Mm-hmm.
Catchphrases are key. Like especially Weegie. Like there's just so many phrases like "nae bother," this, that, and the other. There's so many things you could say to somebody, and there's like that common understanding.
Yeah.
And I was really infatuated by that growing up. I was always like, why is that? Why do we like that so much? Why do people relate with that?
Yep.
So I think those guys, for that reason, they kind of started that wave.
Mm-hmm.
I think as well as like you look at, everybody's got that one guy in their family that was just like so sharp tongued, could say like fucking, was hilarious and didn't even realise it was hilarious. And you'd listen to them and you'd be like, where's that come from? Like, where are you thinking that? And it's just, like I say, if you manage to get that and kind of put it in a wee bottle and like make a sketch show or make something out of it, it's incredible, isn't it?
It's you can, I think a lot of the time with that sort of stuff you can't plan it either.
No, definitely not.
And I'm sure a lot of those guys that are doing it at the top of their game, like Still Game and stuff, they'd probably say that a lot of the best stuff, like it comes from who you know, or like as you said, people in your family and stuff like that. It's not comes from experience as well.
Mm-hmm. Chris and I both played football at a relatively high level when we were younger, right? And we talked about doing a bit, even like a football phrase book, right? Like Scottish football phrase book, because some of the stuff that's said at Scottish football makes no sense. So our old manager Peter McLean, if ever hears this, shout out Pedro, and he used to say things like, "Aye, Greg," what's he said? He went, "Aye, Greg, no everyone can play the piano, but somebody needs to put the piano on the stage." You're like, what's that even mean?
But also, Coco, you gave me the steak. You gave me the steak. I love the steak, but just give me the chips and all. That's all I need.
Feed me, I'm hungry.
Feed me, I'm hungry.
Yeah. I was Coco, by the way. Coco, give me the steak, mate. I love the steak. It's brilliant, but I need the chips. Feed me, I'm hungry. Fucking bizarre. Or about what, you're no comparing apples with apples. Fuck does that even mean? I don't think he knew he's anything about football at all. But it is a Scottish thing, but that is a Scottish thing.
We had a lecturer who used to have a really funny phrase, and it was obviously when you were acting, he wanted you to give more, like put more into it. He'd be like, right, Gregor, you're a climber right now. I don't want a climber. I want a vindaloo. You gotta give me more vindaloo.
Yeah. No matter what scene you're doing, his go-to thing would be, fuck it. Just fuck it. Make love to it.
That's so intense, man.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh no, man. That made me feel strange inside. So, tell me about the music, guys. Because I let my mum listen to Scotch Pie yesterday.
I'm repping the t-shirt here, Scotch Pie. The news.
I like it. Right, so tell me, where does that stuff come from? Is it Gregor just stoning in Greg's like that? Do you know what I've never heard? A song about pies.
I was half cut when I came up with the idea.
Right, okay.
It was just, again, it was actually, I think I took it to you, did I not? I said, oh, what about a song about a pie? And you said, all right.
Yeah, I thought it was just like, I don't even think I even asked you how you even came up with that. I was like, all right, then why not? Fuck it. What we got to lose? Just write a song about a pie.
But mate, the harmonies are beautiful, mate. The harmonies are beautiful.
That's Jack Manilage.
Yeah.
Actually got a lot to thank him for. Like we've been doing the songs for a while, but when we got involved with Able Faces or Jack, he kind of took the music level to like a bit of another standard, and if anything, I think that makes it funnier.
It does. Yeah, totally.
But,
it kind of reminds me of like a kind of like a Neddy Mighty Bush. That's what I was listening. I was like, aye, I still love the Mighty Bush, man. And
that's a next fringe tag, a Neddy Mighty Bush. CDDC podcast. Boom. Yeah, get out on your flyers.
Mate, telling you, man, you heard it here first. But yeah, like, cause as I said, I was listening to, and also The Fear. Right, so tell me, who was it that was out there barring it and had The Fear?
Oh, I think we've all been there, mate. But Gregor was the one that wrote that song. He actually had that song for quite a while, and we hadn't used it for like, I think the past like 2 shows until the one we did last year. We did it in the show called Nay Bother, but he actually had it like way before that, and it just didn't get used. Well, he had like half of it.
I don't think he's liked it very much at first. I think it was a case of it was just had other stuff that we.
He just kept playing it until we liked it.
Yeah.
Just wore you down with it.
Well,
see, to be fair, it sums up Greg perfectly, because he goes missing for about fucking a solid 48 hours after a night in the beer. Like, you just don't hear him.
I know.
Just goes off a radar.
Folk are sending out search parties and all that. Can't even swear to God, like they just.
Genuinely, I started getting people going, "Here, have you heard for Greg?" I was like, "I was drinking last night. You sound. Don't worry about it."
I'm just hiding in the long grass behind my house. It's terrible, man. It's terrible, mate. It's just getting older, man. Getting older, you can't hold it. Can't hold it together. And you start fucking. I just get wild para, man. First, I don't even know where it comes from. You wake up in the morning and go, fuck. Oh, what did I do? Because I can't remember it. And anyway, but my drinking aside, so I was going to. I think you kind of answered this earlier on about with the stand-up thing, but would any of you either have any of you attempted stand up, or would you do anything individually?
I'd love to give stand up a bash. I think I'd be a bit nervous because I don't know. There's loads of different styles of stand up. If it's like a quick, quirky jokes, or if it's storytelling or what. So I'm not really sure what I would go with. I always find myself saying wee things that people laugh at. I'm like, can you do that on stage and get away with it? So it's, I guess I'd get a bash and hopefully not fail too badly.
See that there? Pessimism's funny, mate. Pessimism's funny.
Connor, I think you'd be really good at it. Like, genuinely, you're the most. I think if I give you a wee bit of credit here, Connor, you're really good at kind of just working off the cuff. Like, I really struggle with hecklers and stuff like that.
Oh, really?
But yeah, I just because it's sketch, and I'm like, I don't know how to. My brain isn't just. I'm just not wired that way. Like, if somebody comes off the I might write a little book at insults and just take it out.
See, that'd be great. You just be like,
stop a minute. Right, you.
Right, sir, what category do you fall in?
Connor's just really, really quick-witted. Do you know what? And I think it's good that there's one of us that's like that in the group. Do you know what I mean?
I'll take that, Burden. I'll take it.
Somebody heckles, and then you're like, right, Connor, on you go, mate, get up.
I'm not even in the sketch, and I run on, and I'm like, you're a cunt. Nah.
Mate, that in itself would be a funny sketch. Just get a plant in the audience. Just somebody go, why can't?
We've had hundreds of suggestions for sketches that you're like, are you thinking about what you're saying just now? There was one after a show, I think it might be Elliot Santi. She came up to us and went, you know what's really funny? You know how boys wear skinny jeans and they put stuff in their pockets? That's a sketch. I was like, what? What are you talking about?
I know. She's no came to a show since.
Has she tried to come and you've just no let her in?
Just like, put a picture of her up now when you get like pictures of shoplifters and stuck it up and don't let her in.
So, see, apart from doing the Fringe, have you done any other gigs and stuff?
We've done quite a few Glasgow shows, and we've supported people before, and we've done like the odd charity gig.
Cool.
So we've to be fair, like over the past couple of years, we've got quite a lot under our belt. It's just a shame, you know, with what's going on at the minute, that like we can't really grow that or continue it because our online presence is something. I don't know what happened. It was like really good timing for us, maybe, but it's like over doubled since
it's just
the start of this.
Wow.
Because people are about, you know, and we've got shite sketches and they've got time, so like.
Mate, that sounds like a bridge for a song. We've got shite sketches and yous have got time.
To be fair, it's exactly the same for us as well. I mean, this all happened and we were like, we just started this podcast. Yeah. I was kind of on the outside helping Greg, and then like we started it, and then lockdown happened, and we're like, what did you start doing? It just fell right. It just literally fell into place. We're like, all right, let's just keep doing this.
I know, and then we started.
Guess easy because everybody sat in their house.
Well, that's that. We just started getting Olympians and all that. We're like, fucking hell, right, we're in here. Fucking name. I made like Scotland's first female world champion boxer. I'm like, all right, a bit fucking serious. Better do a good job, or she'll punch her head in. And
all came for your school as well, and you're like, it's brilliant. But then also you're going, right, these guys have achieved all this.
I know.
And I'm sat in my mother-in-law's house.
So you're saying about some of the gigs. So what's the best gig and what's the worst gig?
I would say for me the best gig was the night we done the stand for the first time, or the only time, should I say now? Because we'd always done our own shows, like paid for the theatre, and then went and hoped that we'd sell tickets. That was the first one that we went to. We knew there was going to be an audience there.
Right.
The one they used to people getting up and singing about Scotch pies. So we didn't know how it was going to play out. So we were shiting ourselves for that one the most, and it was packed, and we got up and we finished our song, and then they all just went mental. I was like, oh fuck, thank fuck for that. This is nice. I'd say that one was my favourite.
I'd agree. I absolutely love that because they do a night called Red Raw. Don't know if you've heard of it. It's like comedians go and they try out material, and if they like you, they bring you back. It's a real buzz to it. And I think it was that. Like we have a sketch called Toriettes.
Oh, I saw this. It's funny, man.
So we did that as well, and the funny thing about that for us is that's like one of the first ideas I ever had, but we never actually put it into action. And then now that we've done it as often as we've done it, we start to change it up.
Right.
So that because Connor kind of holds that sketch together, and I get to a point now where, because we're so comfortable with it, I'll just change it a bit. Like I'll just add in something different. Like I started singing the national anthem once. And that's what keeps it alive. And I think at Stand it was a perfect example of that. Like you know that we knew we liked that material, and we just wanted to get new people to hear it. So it was cool. It was aye.
So have
Yeah, I love this.
On you go, man.
Who's talking now? I love the Stand and all. Definitely, man. I think it was just because it was the first time because we've been doing this now for about 3 years, and I think it was like the first time since the first show where I was actually shiting myself. So when I was shiting myself for the Stand, I was like, well, this brings back memories. And then when we went on, it was magic. It was like starting all over again. It felt like recreating that first buzz.
Yep.
So it was magic.
It was strange the first show, but because when you look at it, it's absolutely mental, because we booked the Courtiers Theatre, and we didn't show anybody any of our material or any of our songs, and we thought, fuck it, let's just go for it. And we sold some tickets, and people showed up, and we just got up and done it, and it went down well. But when you look back, you think that could have went so badly.
Aye, and Connor, I mean, it wasn't even we sold 100 tickets, or like just over 100, and I think it was kind of like, obviously it was like your family and that, but there's an expectation there, because it's like you've built this up now to like be something, and it didn't actually hit me until like 5 minutes before we went on that I was like, what if this is shite? Like, what if this is like, what if like what's going on inside my brain is just utter shite? Which for the most part, like a lot of keyboard warriors would agree. Like they'll come out and say it's, what the fuck is this patter? But you know. But it's funny.
Greg, you're like a tortured genius, mate. That's what I get the impression. You're just like, the world doesn't understand what's going on inside my head. I need to get it out.
Bootleg Lemmy.
So you've all told us your best gigs, right? Have you ever died?
Oh, aye.
Right. So come on,
there was one gig which was completely different. It was a charity gig we were doing. It was a golf course, a celebrity golf day, and we got brought in to be in character the full day, and then perform at night. So they were having their breakfast, and we got sent in and started like annoying them, picking up rolls, eating stuff, and then they sent the security in to chuck us out, and then we just like. We went to the spa for the rest of the day. It was up at Glasgow. So we then just went and chilled in the spa all day, had a 5-course meal or whatever it was, and then went in, started taking food after plates when they were eating their dinner. And there was an intense moment with Ricky Foster where I thought he was going to square go me. I picked up his fork and I went, I'm ready for 18 rounds of golf. And he went, do you know, mean 18 holes? And we exchanged eye contact, and I thought, this is about to go down here. And then you just sort of pick up the guitar and you start playing, and then people are like, wait, is this set up? What is this? And then by the time we'd finished, it sort of came around to it. So that was a bad one, but still a good one at the same time.
I think the only footballer I remember that had a smile on his face was Lee Mayer.
Really?
Bobby Petta was there as well. He didn't have a clue what was going on.
Mate, Bobby Petta just doesn't have a clue what's going on, full stop. Do you know he started a gym? He started a gym, right? And the tagline was, "Get better with Petta." It's fucking terrible.
Brilliant.
You're like that sign up.
Fucking on you go, Bobby. Because I think there's nothing worse for a comedian if you go up there and you lay your material out and it just gets, you hear crickets, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had that at a Christmas show as well. We recorded it up the back, and there was an end of a sketch. It was the Scrabble one or something we were doing.
Yeah.
And we said the punchline, and it just went silent, and I just heard one of us go, "Oh!"
That was me. I ran off the stage because I was the last one on. I just panicked and I was like, how do I get out of this? And I remember I jumped in the air as well. Have you ever seen like Roadrunner?
Yeah.
I was like the Roadrunner, right? And everybody in that audience was Coyote. And I just jumped up in the air and fucking bolted it.
So have any like kind of more like well-known names? Have any of them like spoken to you or anything like
that? We've had a few. We've had some that we wouldn't have expected either. Like we had when we did Toriettes at Fringe 2 years ago, we had a member of the European Parliament there. Right, he was a Tory, but I can't remember his name. Daniel Hannan, if you know him. And all I remember is doing that sketch and just it went completely silent, and there's just one guy going, ha, 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 ha. And I was like, who's that? And then 2 minutes later, he sends a wee tweet out, and we're like, that's mad. Why would you be at that?
Scoping out the opposition, mate.
Another cool one that year was Mark Cox, guy who plays Tam for Still Game. He came, which was really cool. We invited him and he showed up, and he took the time to come and speak to us after it and get a wee picture and say that he enjoyed it. And when we started singing, he was like, I just didn't expect it because he's dressed like that. So that was cool as well.
Aye.
That's amazing.
Did a gig with Des Clark.
Oh, right,
cool.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
He's actually really funny, Des Clark. Like
He's super funny.
His stand-up, like,
Aye.
I did a... So I'm a photographer, that's what I do for a living. And I did, it was like the Scottish Entertainment Awards, and he was presenting them. And he did like 15 minutes before he started announcing, man. I couldn't believe it. He was really, really good.
He's a really nice guy. Really nice guy.
Aye.
They had some good advice for us. I said we just sort of fanny about, and he told us you can make a living off of that.
Listen,
Sign me up.
all it takes is just one sketch just to run about the social media stuff like that, and you can, before you know it, you're at the Hydro, you know what I mean?
It's the dream, aye. That's the dream.
That's the goals, aye.
Actually, Chris, you had some stuff you were going to ask.
Did I?
You did.
Aye, nice one.
I love doing that, yeah, man. Just go like that. Boom! Drop him right in it. And he's like that. You bastard.
No. So like, obviously, we're going on about like how he's a diet, like the differences between stand up and stuff like that. How do you manage to, like you say, when you're getting heckled and stuff like that? How do you just have to ignore it, or do you like combat it, or kind of how do you go about that, like dealing with heckles? Obviously, I know, Connor, you said you can't, you just fucking ostrich it, but what about the other guys? Have you got any way of kind of dealing with hecklers and stuff like
that? For me, I think I just take this after my dad, but I believe in self-defecation. So if they're ripping into me, I'll be like, aye, well, you're probably right, aye. And then they'll just, where can you go from that? Do you know what I mean? It just kind of clamps them. They
Just
don't have
disarm
anything
them.
else to say. Aye, pretty much. So that's probably my coping mechanism. But most of the time, I think like I'll just try and get through it. Like I'll just ignore it. Do you know what I mean? That way you can like just so the continuity like keeps up, so you can roll into the next sketch. Because our shows they're really like fast paced and high energy. So I feel like if we were to let that drop, then you're kind of having to like up sticks and try and get it up and get the ball rolling again. So,
happy days.
I mean, I don't really know how I'm the same. I kind of just ignore it. I try to ignore it anyway and just continue on. But I think that the hard is different because there's hecklers and then there's people online on your sketches, and that's like it's different because that stays there. You can't just like get over it. It doesn't just go away straight away. So I think that's like a different sort of breed of it. In some ways, it's actually harder because they're only seeing like maybe 30 seconds of what you can do. Whereas if you come to a show, you're seeing 55 minutes, an hour plus. If you're there, you're also speaking to us.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it can be difficult sometimes when somebody's watched like a 30-second sketch and they're like, "This is fucking shite. It's an embarrassment. It's Scottish comedy. This, that." Oh, mate. Like honestly, we've had people. We had a guy leave us a review because he'd watched Toriettes. It'd been shared by someone, and it was like a Scottish comedy page, and this guy like left this review on our actual Facebook page just saying how we're like this massive disgrace to like Scottish comedy and all this, and I was like, whoa, mate, that sketch is like 25 seconds long. What are you up to?
Take a bit off it, mate.
And how invested have you got to be like that 25 seconds was highly offensive? Let me go. I mean, that's horrendous, man.
I know it's mad, but that stuff helps because you know if you can put up with that when you go and do like the live shows or whatever, it doesn't really people are there because they like you.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd like hopefully they are anyway. So it's not usually as a running with that. That's why I think it's probably harder for stand-ups. You're riding solo on that. Like I've got two other guys I can go to if I'm like, here, one of you want to cap that guy. Mate, I'm too much Call of Duty.
No.
But just that.
I think, see, in some ways, but the social outrage stuff probably could help you because if some guy goes, "That's a disgrace to Scottish culture," 99% of Glaswegians will be like, "Shut the fuck up, you dick." Do you know what I mean? And then before you know it, it's doing the rounds. And then that guy's been outed as a sex offender or something like that. And that's it.
We've started to notice that we've now been having to reply to them. People have been doing it for us, being like, "Oh, shut up, you fucking plant pot." It's somebody got called a welly boot the other day. And like, what?
It's the best, isn't it? It's the best, man.
Aye.
Mate, it's the old ones. The old ones. I heard a guy at a bus stop talking to this other guy. He's like, "Shut up, you fucking weapon." And I was like,
The best, isn't it? So good.
yeah.
And sorry on you.
No, Greg, I listen to what I hear for you, no me, mate. Carry on.
It's just you always remember, like you see stuff like you were saying about the older guys. You're right. Like it seems to be that's the case of it for the most part, and like it's not all the time, but you always remember. And I think most comedians like this. You remember the bad stuff over the. I think anybody's actually like
yeah,
that.
of course,
Doesn't matter what you're doing,
of course.
100%.
But aye, that's my two piece.
So
Peace, 2 pence.
What is wrong with you?
It's no water in my glass.
No, so see when you're going at like you sold tickets for a gig, you get there like you ever get that wee moment where you look out and you go, "Oh no, it's going to be one of the crowds," like, or is there a certain type of person that you get in, you just go, "God, for fuck's sake."
Sorry, Chris, I'm absolutely pissing myself here, man. Right? It's just his face, just like that. Fucking 2 piece, 2 pence, fuck's sake.
There was one at that Fringe just there. I think there was like 40 tickets left with like an hour to go, and then boom, they all sold, and we're like, oh, that's good. But then we see people showing up in Hawaiian shirts with like blow up dolls and stuff. And we're like, oh no, here we go. It was just all steaming people out in a stag do. They weren't too rowdy.
Mate, they were really
wear a
nice.
couple of inflatables and stuff like that coming on stage, but that was apart from that, it was fine.
Aye, Fringe is where you find all that. You know, like it's mental. It's the kind of people that could just show up. We had a guy who he was all right. Like he hadn't created any problems or anything. But you could tell he was steaming, and he couldn't find the toilet. So he wandered off like backstage. And you could tell he knew he went the wrong way, right? So instead of like trying to deal with it, he just kind of stood there and just watched us. From back. So we'd be coming in and like change and put wigs on and stuff, and he'd just look at us.
He's got some sort of weird VIP package, just looking
like a proud dad that you don't know.
Getting your pep talks in between the acts.
You didn't know me yet, but I know you.
Break a leg, son.
It's fucking brilliant, man.
Do you know what I was going to ask you just when you mentioned the getting changed and all that? See all the trackies and all that? Whose are they? They're Gregors, aren't they?
See, if you forgot your jumper, you phone Gregor and you go, here mate, you got a spare zippy, and he'll whip out like the Lacoste bad boys, the bench, the Fred Perry are sorted with him.
Have you got a wee Bear USA number?
Don't worry about it, pal. I've got a cracking wee Sergio Tacchini for you.
What's it? What's the one everyone used to get? Was it Cabrini?
Nah.
Cabrini?
Yeah.
Just love it.
Set a neon Diodora bad boys. So you were saying about, see, when you before you actually take a show out, how long does it take to rehearse it?
Normally, I mean, how long did we take for No Bother again? Was that like a month and a half to 2 months maybe?
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, we did the only time that we kind of, I don't know how the hell we done it, but we only rehearsed once for 2 weeks for an entire show, and that was for a Christmas show we wrote called Jingle Buzz, and we literally, it was so, I don't know how we done that. It was just so last minute, but yet it was so good, and that was the biggest audience we've ever done it in front of, and it worked a charm. But normally we try and take roughly about 2 months or so to make sure, like, because sometimes things change as well in the sketch, or if we feel like that sketch needs to get developed more, take that out and then we'll fire another sketch in. We'll see how that works, because we need to work out as well, right? If we put that sketch here, that's got 2 of us in it, right, we'll make the next one like a monologue or something like that. That way it gives the next sketch of whoever's in it time to change and get props or whatever. So it's all kind of like arranged kind of delicately.
Actually, I never thought about that. Like the logistics of like pulling a trachea off while somebody else is saying something. Do you know what I mean?
It's a nightmare. that Fringe there, we done a sketch where I was shaking out paint.
All right.
Right.
Okay.
So I had to get duct tape around my belly to tape the bottle to my back. So if after it's fucked up.
What the
but
fuck, man?
after that sketch, I had to run off and literally rip the duct tape off, and then stick a pink wig on, and then go on and be a wee 13-year-old lassie.
So the funniest thing about all of that is like, you see when I'm sitting, like, I remember writing that with the paint, and I was just sitting there like, he's gonna fucking kick my head in when I show him.
Has there ever been anything that you've went, no, we can't do that?
Yeah, 100%.
Tell us.
Some stuff I can't share because I'm so embarrassed by it. But no, definitely. Well, do you know what? It actually brings on to the topic of like, well, comedy's changing.
Mm-hmm.
There are things now like, obviously, it's a bit like if you watch, I always revert to like Still Game, like the current season,
Yeah.
the new one that they done.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved it. I mean, I still loved it, and I loved the old stuff too. But there's a big difference between the humour, and a lot of it's because you just can't say it now. There's just stuff you can't say anymore.
Yeah.
And I think comedians have to be a lot more careful because in the news you hear all the time of people getting pulled up for stuff they said 3 or 4 years ago. Because I guess you kind of grow as you go on and you want to do different things. So I think because we kind of came onto the scene when all that was really active, we've kind of tried to move along with that.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. If I just rambled, is that?
No, it makes sense.
Makes absolute sense. I mean, essentially, see where like people are not able to say things like that now. That's now just been replaced by the WhatsApp group, isn't it? Because the WhatsApp group is where literally there are absolute atrocities in some of the WhatsApp groups I'm in, man. It's horrendous. Like,
I call it pub culture, if you know that expression.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you just get like some of the stuff. You get videos sent through, and you're like, "I'm in public. I'm not opening that right now. That can wait."
You open it up and it's gone, oh yeah? Oh.
Yeah.
That's the worst, mate. That happened to me when I was in hospital. I was in my bed. There was about 4 other people in the ward. Everyone was
There's nothing better than like walking along the street and hearing somebody else like get caught with it. You're like, yeah, just some guy, you're like, bastard, wrestling with his phone.
The one that got me was a couple of years ago. Seen me had that really bad snow. One of my pals sent me a thing. It was like, oh my god, look at the snow. And you press the photograph and there's like a wee bit of snow at the top, and then there's just the largest cock you've ever seen. Just like
so good.
You're like, for fuck's sake.
Oh, Conor, you're gonna go looking for that one now, aren't you?
Yeah.
I'll send you, Connor. Don't worry, mate.
The largest cock you've ever seen.
So, but Gregor, we were talking about it, obviously, talking about it before on the phone. Like you were mentioning that, like the Rotunda is doing a drive-in comedy gig. Is that something that you guys would be kind of open to doing, or how do you think that sort of thing's going to evolve? Obviously, with the way things are going with coronavirus and everything like that.
Do you know what? Like, it's a really good question because I talk about this all the time. No idea. I think what they're doing with that event, like that's a really, for now, that's like quite a niche thing, and I think it's a really smart thing to do. But I think it's more, just for me personally, I don't know how you could logistically do that. Like because most comedy nights they're happening like 4 or 5 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
I can't see that being like a regular thing. I'd love to do it if we ever had the opportunity to do it. That'd be a lot of fun, but I don't know what's gonna happen. It'd be good if like even the venues had a bit more insight into it, because we're always keeping up with the socials to see who's posted about regulations or whatever. But like live scene in general, I don't know what that become. If they do it, it might be like the audience sizes are halved, and people are then sitting like 2 meters apart or whatever. But I think that might ruin some of the laughs about it, because there's nothing better than having a full audience. You play off of that. You play off of their reactions. They play off of you. There's nothing better than that. So, it's scary, but
I think it's also that thing. There's also that thing of like I've heard Kevin Bridges say it before. He found it better doing the larger gigs because, I mean, essentially there's fucking thousands of them. Some of them are going to laugh. I mean, but if you've got like say 30, 40 people and you're doing this gig and they all just don't laugh, it's a lonely place to be. But then also if you're doing if you've got a drive-in thing, That's opening up to a different sort of heckler. Just a guy in his horn. Like, that'd be horrendous, wouldn't it?
Starts playing DJ Bad Boy through the speaker or something.
Yes,
The thing is, you wouldn't know whether you were getting heckled or somebody's just trying to reverse out the car park. Somebody might let him out. No, you're shite, mate. Actually, that's what I was going to also ask. Like, so where do you see all this going? Or where would you like it to go?
You've got to aim for the top, haven't you? Like if you don't try and be the best that's out there, then there's no really point doing it if you don't sort of back yourself 100%. The goal is to be able to do gigs in the Hydro and do seasons on the TV and stuff like that. Like that's a goal for us, I'd say. Like up the top, and you've got to back yourself to get there.
Yeah, I think I mean, it's not like I just always look at it like the guys that I grew up watching, like Still Game and Limmy and all that. It'd be good to, because sometimes we hear people quoting back what we've done,
Right, okay.
like even in Facebook comments or whatever, and you hear and it's that sort of feeling of like, oh wow, like you actually like. It's like, I imagine it's the same way when somebody sings a song back, like the lyrics to a song that you've written or whatever. It's like, that's mad. So for me, that's kind of the goal. It's to get it around enough that it becomes sort of like it's just something everybody knows, like a household name. Mm-hmm. That's what I would love more than anything.
It becomes part of people's patter, basically.
Aye, and it's like, it's been accepted rather than it just been like, oh, fucking hell.
Well, you look at Still Game and Chewing the Fat, it's part of Scottish culture now. Do you know what I mean? And I think once you transcend that, then you're never going anywhere, because like you said, people are all like, even that Mo and the Fish and all that part of, like that was years ago, but it's still, see if somebody shouted that in the street, you're still gonna laugh at it. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Mo and the Fish.
Aye, and you know, like the culture's changing too, so it's that thing of, you know, those guys are great and like, we all grew up in that and absolutely love that, but there's new guys coming in that need stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, I think that's why the songs are a good thing for us, because I've not personally seen stuff like that before, from a Scottish angle anyway. So I think it's the sort of stuff that I'm like, maybe that could be the thing that
pushes it.
Yeah, I mean, like, you think about it, like I think the only other people I really can think of off the top of my head right now would be guys like The Lonely Island coming up with like that sort of stuff. I mean, that's good company to be in, you know what I mean?
I never even thought of that, actually.
Aye, they're class. I think it was the first album I ever bought, was Incredibad, if you remember it.
Brilliant stuff, man.
You could do it on a boat, but on the boat for Largs to Millport. Cal Mac ferries, man. There we go. There's something in that. So, what's obviously after COVID and all that? What's the next things that are on the cards then?
I think, like, well, we were talking about that just kind of briefly before. I think the plan is just now, before we even think about doing like a big show again, that probably won't happen until like next year by the looks of it. So we're hoping to at least try and get some gigs in around comedy clubs around Scotland, because we want to try and branch out a bit more other than like doing comedy clubs in Glasgow. So we'll try and look for some in Edinburgh, Dundee, Aberdeen, you know, just all over the shop really. And then hopefully by the time it comes to next year, we'll have, you know, like plentiful followers to come see us like in a big show. That way it will be a banger, because it'll be like, that'll have been like a year since we've done an actual show then.
Yeah. Do you know what I was also thinking? Do you ever do anything about the kind of sectarian divide in Glasgow? I know it's kind of a hot topic, and it would kind of maybe divide your audience slightly, but some of it could be funny.
Yeah, I mean, I've always, and I think this is where sometimes like the differences come in between what people kind of want to talk about in the group or whatever. I know for me personally, writing stuff, like I just maybe in a few years' time, maybe if I think I've got enough knowledge to like push something that I don't think I'm gonna like favour one side, or I'm not gonna, because that's ultimately, like, we try and keep all our comedy surface level.
Yeah, of course.
And I think the reason for that is, at the end of the day, like, the image that you're giving across is that you're three BAMs. So people are going to make judgment over you regardless of your content. And we've had reviews before that they pick up on that, and they'll try and put you in a box because you've maybe said something or whatever. So it's trying to, like, avoid that, and maybe that's like the inner, like, business man coming out of me right now, which is like, well, if I want to pitch this to BBC, I need to have a clean slate.
Yeah.
So, but I do agree. I think there's so much to it. We did one sketch about Brexit, which had a wee skit about was it Rangers and Celtic, or was it Scotland and England? It was one of them.
It was Rangers and Celtic that we did it on.
We just compared the two, but apart from that, not really. But no, I hear you. Like, I think that would be good to.
Because I think, because when you were saying if you're going to Aberdeen, they notoriously hate the Weegies, right? So you need to go up there and pick a side, lads. Do you know what I mean?
Aye, yeah. I've not actually thought. I didn't think about that.
Mate, I remember going up to Aberdeen a couple of years ago, and you're just even talking to people when you walk in, they can smell it off you. They're like, you a Ouija, eh? Sorry, lad. Yeah, it's scary shit, mate. Scary shit, because they can fight like fuck up there. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, gentlemen, I think we'll call it a day there. Thanks very much for coming to talk to us.
Cheers for having us.
Aye, cheers, man. Pleasure.
I'll just sign off. Oh, so bye, Chris.
See you later on, mate.
Right, cool, man. She's heavy ignoring me there, scumbag. Right, guys, hit that like and subscribe button.